right, go for it.
Well, here we go. We got the Brothers of Discussion here, and we got Warren Hayes hailing all the way from northern Michigan. It's Canada. How you doing, Warren?
You know, oddly enough, that's how we refer to ourselves. You know, when we get into our northern Michigan social clubs, you know, when we all get together, that's what we say.
Fantastic.
You know? Yes. Oh, you know, is it? You know, oh, northern Michigan, our golden land. That's how it goes.
Well, you know, we just had election time, and we kind of wished we were Southern Canada, so it was, you know, a little similar there. But we want to get to know you a little bit, Warren.
Sure.
Let me throw this in there, Mike. This is Warren. This gives you the best taste of how this show usually goes as we walk over each other. That is at Mr. Warren Hayes on Twitter, host of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, and your brand new pre-show shows. I don't know if you have a title for them.
It's called the Slate. You know,
very cool.
You know, like when you go to a cafe or something, you know, and they have the menu. You know, today's menu on the slate. Super original. Took me way too long to come up with it, but I'm happy with it.
So subscribe to that YouTube channel. You guys can find it as Mr. Warren Hayes. I am a subscriber myself, so I'm excited to have you on the show. And this is one that we kind of ran into each other on accident. We were trying to figure out fleeting on Twitter. And I accidentally wanted to reply, and boom, it started a DM. And I went, "Oh,
that's nothing by DM," and it's cool. Like that. That's not the problem, right? And then he's like, "We should get to, you know, we should work together." So I'm like, "You name the time and the place. I'll be there." So, you know, beautiful happenstance. But fleets suck. They really do. Because if there was any other way to engage with them, like outside of sending can we swear on your show?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Outside of a goddamn motherfucking DM.
Whoa, not motherfucking. There you go.
Take it back there, Hayes. No, but I mean, I don't understand fleets. Right. Like, at least like on Instagram, you can add them to your stories. You can add, you know, the stories thing, and you can like them. Fleets are just, there's nothing to it. I don't understand.
It just feels like another chore. I didn't need that. I already feel like I've got a 1-year-old, and she's already. I swear, the second I pick up my phone, by the way. Thank you. The second I pick up the phone to try and tweet something, she knows already. She grabs the phone. She's like, "No, you're not tweeting." But now I got to ask her if I can fleet. It's nuts. I didn't need that. I didn't need that on the list. We want to give a shout out to Kristen Ashley, because we unfortunately couldn't get her, but I need everybody to check out Bell to Bells. And I think it's belldebells.com if I got that correctly. Yeah. It's funny. We've given her a shout out plenty of times on the show before, the website. One of the most fun topics to discuss. Maybe fun's not the right word, but when she got that wonderful question out to Cody Rhodes about getting more story from the women's division, and we'll get into that topic in women's wrestling and the women's division, AEW, WWE. We'll get into that. But everybody, that's the bummer. But we still want to make sure you check out Bell to Bells, because Kristen is fantastic on social media as well. But check out that website. That is like right now, if you want to get great coverage on women's wrestling, that's where you want to go. belldebells.com. So we wanted. We wanted to focus on that today, but it is the holiday season. Things come up. That's what's going on, unfortunately. But we do have the wonderful Mr. Warren Hayes to keep the shout outs going for Kristen. So if there's anything I'm missing, I wanted to give you at least that platform right now to make sure everybody's checking their stuff out.
Warren, it sounds like what you're getting is things around our family household when Matt actually just had a baby and he's going to have another one. He couldn't be here. Instead, here's his brother Michael, who's related to Matt. So we're very excited to have him. He's going to be an uncle. So Warren, you could be an uncle too.
Let's just spread it around. Let's just, the family titles for everyone. Let's just do it.
There you go.
I hope you're thoroughly confused at this point.
I'm usually confused, period. So, this is another day in paradise for me.
So we are recording on December 1st. So Warren, are you getting festive? I mean, you can see our overlay here. We are into the festive or getting into those festivities. Are you excited for the holiday season?
I am officially festive as of now, being on the Brothers of Destruction podcast, being submerged in snow, the hanging lights, the people skating behind us on the outdoor rink with the festive lights. I mean, up until this point, I was in full bah humbug mode. But now, moving forward, there is no reason for me to not be in the holiday spirit moving forward, for sure.
Fantastic. So this is where we're breaking the ice. So we're finally coming back to that first question Mike was going to ask you. What is your favorite holiday film?
Oh, Gremlins.
Nice.
Ooh, good choice.
We were just talking about that.
I absolutely, and it's one of those that always falls into the category, is it a Christmas film or not? I think that any movie that happens over the holidays is a Christmas movie. Just as simple as that. I think Die Hard is a Christmas movie. But yeah, I have a soft spot for Gremlins. I saw it when I was very young, and the scene where when he's got all the boils on his back when he gets water thrown on him, and Gizmo, and that scared me shitless. Like, that's the kind of thing that even today I'm like, oh, I remember sleepless nights because of this, kind of thing. I love the movie.
Yeah, Joe Dante's the man. I love him. And then Phoebe Cates regaling us with what happened to her poor family. But I think my favorite thing is my girlfriend can do a spot on impression of Gizmo doing the
That's a special woman you got there.
Mine's like a C-. Hers is like an A. You think you're holding a little gremlin. It's pretty wonderful.
You hang on to that woman and you just never let her go.
I keep trying to pour water on her and get a couple more, but one other thing too, there's a new Hulu's really been pushing the crap out of it. I think it's called Happiest Ever. And one of the protagonists in that movie, it's a holiday movie with Kristen Stewart from Twilight.
Sure.
Levy's kid from Schitt's Creek. And one of the characters' backstories is that both her parents died on Christmas. And I'm like, wait a minute. Come on, don't be stealing my boy Joe Dante. What's going on here? So you might want to check it out. It's just kind of a cute holiday movie, but just that part kind of made my ears perk up a little bit as a big Gremlins fan.
I recently said, look, like my favorite Christmas thing of all, it's not a movie of all time, is the Charlie Brown Christmas special. I don't think there's anything that's ever been greater. That's been like, I think everyone strives to achieve what they did in that 22-minute piece of animation. It is absolutely remarkable as far as the message, the sentiment, the legitimate feels that it gives you. But recently, I watched Jingle Jangle on Netflix, which is it's a musical and entirely black cast. And the music is fantastic. Like, it's a mixture of like soul, Motown with Christmas vibes to it, and it was a delight. And Forrest Whitaker is in it
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
main. I'm not big on musicals. Like, I'm not a guy who ran out of like, oh, Hamilton, kind of thing. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was special, imaginative, and it felt fresh too at the same time. I loved it.
It does look beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
It's on the old what do you call that now on Netflix? It's not the wish list. It used to be a wish list.
Oh, the queue. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Mike, you came up with my new favorite break the ice question, so I know that's how it feels like we're doing now. But
I was so proud of that guy on he was really getting a lot of play on Twitter because he paid Undertaker on one of those cameos and got him to say All Elite. What was it? Yeah. All Elite Scooby-Doo?
All Elite Scooby-Doo, yeah.
So Warren, I know I'm putting you on the spot. If you could give Undertaker, $1,000, what would you want him to say?
I'd ask him to take the holy text of his choice, whether
Oh,
likely a Bible, right? In his case,
right.
but whatever, whatever he feels.
I'd like to hear him read about like Joseph Smith. Yeah, in the Book of Mormon. Yeah.
I'd have him lay his hand on it, lift up his free hand, and say, "I promise, I am retiring. I am not coming back to wrestling." Because otherwise, you know what that means? That means if he comes back, we're getting another month of Undertaker stuff just getting shoved down our throat. God bless the man in his career. Nothing but respect. And this
Absolutely.
is not like it's the overhype that came with it. It's like the whole spectacle and the hype that surrounded it was like, my God, I honestly can't wait till he retires because I can't take this anymore. I can't take another month of Undertaker.
Well, a month of Undertaker, that's got roughly the length of his entrance now.
Which clearly Roman Reigns has inherited from him.
Yeah, right?
I think my hot take on that, considering it's been almost 2 weeks, I actually wasn't too impressed with what was going on down there. I didn't think for the Undertaker, if this really was the last time we were going to see him, and we haven't had a chance to record since it happened because of Thanksgiving. But I don't know. I thought it ended, and I was just kind of like, "That's it."
I have thoughts too. If you guys want to talk about it, I'm cool.
Yeah,
with
let's
this.
do
Hell
it.
yeah.
I mean, he already took off his gloves and his hat. He was running out of clothes to take off, like maybe his boots. Give him some slippies, to go back up the ramp. Like a bath towel, bathrobe. I don't know. Let him go retire in peace. But Warren, it sounded like you had something profound to say.
Well, I wouldn't say profound.
More than slippies in a bathrobe. Yeah.
Clearly, profundity is not my gimmick. I honestly, at some point, as I was watching it, when they did the whole super long entrance, and he's in the ring, and at some point, I started to feel bummed as I was watching it, and it was really when I realized that he was in the ring and he was, working the crowd for noise, when they just like stand in the ring and they let the crowd noise grow and you're like, wait a second, this is all piped. This is all phony. And I felt terrible for him. It really started to dawn on me. I'm like, this is it. This is how this guy's 30-year career is going to end, with contrived, piped-in heat that he's been told basically, Taker, let the crowd noise grow. That's what he's been given, that indication to just like fake through it, and it's such a bummer because I really do think, regardless of his political stances and all that stuff, which is I think it's a whole other yard to cross. I think that he deserved to be in front of a crowd. He deserved to have 4 uninterrupted minutes of a live hot crowd, 14, 15,000 people just going nuts because they know it's the last time they're going to see him. That's what this man deserved. And it sucks that it was taken away from him. But then again, what do you do? Do you wait another year? If you're WWE, do you wait another year for this and cross your fingers that live audiences will be able to return? We don't know what's going to happen in a year. I mean, he's not super old, but he's not young either. Like was this like the most opportune moment? Probably, but I can't help but feel bad. That's the thing. I just felt bummed at some point. It just everything sucked out.
It starts to scream like, what else are we going to do at Survivor Series? And then that idea was tossed out there because I mean, it just like you said, he deserves more. I can't believe that they looked at that as the ideal send off to a guy. I mean, you get to say it, well, during the broadcast, they said it 1,000 times. It's the 30 years that he's been with the company. And I get he absolutely needs a segment. You know what he needed? He needed like Stone Cold Steve Austin there, or The Rock. And I was tweeting like, this isn't real until I see Stone Cold and The Rock. I
agree.
That to me was like those were two elements where it's like, all right, this
good point.
isn't real. But but absolutely, this should have been. I mean, I think there's WrestleMania moments that tie in better than Survivor Series, and I get that was where he started, but I don't hold Survivor Series as Undertaker night. I hold it as it's Survivor Series, and then for however many years, WrestleMania has always revolved around a main event with the Undertaker. So I don't know, like that doesn't add up. The Undertaker just kind of getting the shaft here and being treated like let's fill out the show, let's fill out the match card. I just and then of course it's not a very long segment by any means. It's long just because there's nothing going on and you're kind of checking your watch, going, "Whoa, 15 minutes went by and he's just been standing there." But I mean, throw that out because that's going to happen regardless. But I mean, we've watched. I mean, I'm sitting here wearing Red Wings stuff right now. I've watched so many different Red Wings retire from the NHL, and they get like an hour and a half long ceremony with all their buddies that they've won Stanley Cups with to just sit there and they chit chat in front of a crowd and they joke and grab ass. And I don't need the grab assing, but where was that moment?
Speak for yourself over there.
All right, I kind of did want it. I want to see a break character. I wanted to see some hugging out there, but maybe.
Why did they bring the legends? Like, why did they bring the legends and then get them out of the ring?
Why was there no dress code? Why was Kane in his gear? Some of us were in suits, some of us were in jeans, some of us were in jeggings.
And then you had the Godwins.
Yeah, how did they? It's one of those things. They have to be, Undertaker's, like Mark Calloway's buddies, right? That's how they got.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. And Savio Vega too, because goddamn, there's no way they would have let Savio Vega in for any other reason.
Right. But I guess if you're gonna have Undertaker do that, I wouldn't, like you said, Warren, I wouldn't have piped in fake sound. It's almost like it would be preferable to do almost like a Sopranos, just kind of a quiet, just kind of let them leave, almost fading to black. Almost anything would have been preferable to what they did. And I really want to jump on the coattails too of doing it at WrestleMania. Maybe that's why they felt they could do something like this, something so low grade at Survivor Series. And maybe they will give us something a little more, memorable, deserving, when we can actually do, that WWE Hall of Fame, basically give him the whole, that whole Saturday. Or Friday, I guess they moved it now.
Yeah, because that's happening, right? It's happening at the next possible moment that they can do.
Yeah,
the
and it's just
again.
like they couldn't let the character, like the mystique, just kind of marinate, so we could say goodbye. It was like, well, in 5 seconds you can watch him drinking El Segundo, fresh out of the can with Stone Cold Steve. Like, hold on, I don't want to meet Mark yet. I'm not done saying goodbye to Undertaker. You know what I mean?
No, that's actually a good point because I was talking about those retirement ceremonies, but I guess you've got to do. I need to equate it to like a number. You've got the guys that are leaving. You've got the Stanley Cup. I'm trying to defend myself now. I realized I was wrong because he's going to get a Hall of Fame speech. All right, I'll just move on. I'm gonna actually chalk that up to holy crap. I forgot the Hall of Fame exists. Good on me though because another hot take there, Warren. I'm not a believer that is worth anybody's time. Besides the guys who get that and they feel good about it, I like that, but nobody should be watching it, in my opinion.
The Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
Oh no. It's aside from like, it gets interesting when you have the surprises or when you have like the really old guys, like Hillbilly Jim last year. Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. I thought he had a lovely induction speech, and we hadn't seen him in years. Is Hillbilly Jim a Hall of Famer? Hell no, but it's like, and I grew up loving Hillbilly Jim, the big tall guy with the big beard, and he dances, and he smiles all the time, and he does this thing, and he's so cool. But it's not a Hall of Fame career. But you see, then I would have been. There's elements like them inducting Jushin Thunder Liger. I'm really, really excited to see what they do with that, what kind of video package they'd have prepped for him. Because I've maintained
it's gonna be really blurry, all that censorship,
Yeah, all these people we need to blur,
right?
When he announced his retirement and it happened last year, and we were like, okay, well, you know, if the WWE Hall of Fame has any sense of worth, they have to put Liger in there because he is a legitimate legend. He is a legitimate trailblazer, a guy who defined an entire genre of wrestling back when no one was doing that stuff and has been emulated over and over again. He's the guy that the Rey Mysterios look up to. You know, that's how wild this guy is. If you're going to do the Hall of Fame, you have to put him in there. So when they did that, I was like, huh, all right, curious to see where it goes. But then, like, the main event guy, the big guy this year was Batista. Again, no disrespect, but I'm like, okay.
Right.
You know, it's like Vince is going to put in his, you know, his draws, his pals, the people he wants to see in there. You know, Torrie Wilson is not a Hall of Fame career. You know, again, no disrespect, but that's not what a Hall of Fame is. It's just like, who does Vince want in this year kind of thing. But kudos to have decided to go with Liger. That's transcendent, and I appreciate it. That's a smidge of legitimacy for me.
I think it would do something for them too to say, like, all right, we don't need 2 hours of content here. If we have one person inducted, we're good. Like, make it like the baseball Hall of Fame. Make it difficult. Make it look like, okay, we don't have enough names this year. So what? We're only going to be on USA for 30 minutes.
But then what's the flip side? What's the other thing you do? Then it does it become like the, and again, no disrespect, but does it become like the Observer Hall of Fame? And it's not a question of wanting to crap on the Observer because I know that's very fashionable. Then that's not what I want to do. It's more like it's more the idea of then it becomes you go through a more vetted process or something that resembles more an actual Hall of Fame where you're reaching out to journalists in the field to vote and stuff. But then, you know, it becomes extremely difficult to get certain people inducted when it should have been years ago because the voting is strange there too. You know, it's like what's the proper what's the proper center between these two, to my, you know, how I feel are two extremes, right? I think there is a proper center to have there. And again, you know, the Observer, if anything, the Hall of Fame is much more of a it's always a good time, like, to sort of celebrate wrestling history, to take a moment back and be like, look, we're not inducting Goldberg this year. We're going to go with we're going to go with Johnny Saint, even though it's not him. And people are like, Johnny Saint. Oh, well, yeah. He's more than just the figurehead of NXT UK. This guy is legit because so and so and so. So that I appreciate that part of it. That I think is very important. But it's also extremely convoluted. But I mean, you know, the Hall of Fame's, it's their awards. There's always going to be a level of subjectivity to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Who's ready to talk politics?
That's why we got you in here, Warren.
Biden.
Yeah, right. Well, let's talk the industry and the politics involved in there, right? Because we haven't been, right?
Yeah.
So we originally wanted to talk PWI top 50 tag teams and Kristen's involvement with putting together the content revolving around the women that were inducted, including the Iconics, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, the Kabuki Warriors, the Golden Role Models. There were more, but our show mainly covers WWE and AEW, and that's where that the shorter list came from.
Yeah.
So I could pretend you're Kristen and ask you how it felt to write.
Well, if I were Kristen, I would probably. Kristen actually, she was part of this list. She was also part of the women's top 100 as well, and she was very thrilled to do so. The difference here with the top 50 was that she was asked to submit women and men tag teams, so it wasn't just like specifically for the women. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you get a little behind the scenes and you see how these things are put together and the criteria, you know. And I know, you know, lists are lists, and they will always they'll always get some people's blood pumping, I guess, but to when you look at the process, you see how things are done, and the top 50 was the first year that they did this for the tag teams, right? So it was special. It was very she was thrilled to be on the selection committee for the top women's 100. And then they asked her back for the top 50, and she was doubly honored to do it. So yeah, she was, and she made a point of picking out some women's tag teams because that's her thing. That's what she does, right?
No, she's doing the good work. Because now, I mean, like what I wanted to talk about too is, does this get us a step closer? Are we just going to see a PWI maybe top 600 to make sure we have enough people included? And let's just do it. If Becky Lynch is number one, she's number one in pro wrestling. I mean, we have to be we're like so close to that, right?
Like without separating the list is what you mean, right?
It's the PWI top 600 professional wrestlers. And
obviously I don't work for PWI, so I can't speak on them. But
opinions out there.
But let's chat about it. There are women on the top 500, right? Kylie Ray was in the top 500, as well as being in the top 100 women, because she's had intergender matches. So there's that line that's already a little blurred on the top 500, which is like, okay, well, we've had people who've had great years, women who fought men. Should they be on the top 500? And you'd ask people at PWI, and this is something that's been going on for a couple of years, and to them it feels completely legitimate. If you're wrestling men and you're wrestling for world titles or male titles, because sometimes they're not necessarily male titles. Sometimes it's just like the world title, and you can fight for it. It's just traditionally it's been men who fought for it, kind of thing. They've been on there. I think that, and this is just my opinion again, just completely my opinion, I think we still have a ways to go before people stop talking about women's wrestling specifically, and we can just talk about wrestling in general. Yep. If we, God bless AEW, I love them, and I think the world of wrestling is a better place having AEW, another national promotion that has primetime TV on nationwide cable. I think it is essential that we have them.
Billboards on Times Square. You absolutely need it. I know where you're going.
You absolutely need this stuff, but they need to right the ship when it comes to their women's division. And this is something I've harped on for a long time. It's my main criticism with AEW. Everyone who follows what I do knows that, so I'm no point in rehashing it. Yeah. So when you look at that, you sort of, the battle hasn't been won. But there has been a lot more, like there's things this year that I've noticed, like no one bat an eye when we saw Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae main eventing the Halloween Havoc show this year. No one went, my God. It was more like, cool, we've got two of the best who are going to go at it and it's going to fucking rock. Right?
That's a great point, yeah.
And isn't that's what we want? And if Kristen were here, she would say that is what equality is. It's not taking up spots. It's not, oh, well, if you do this, then what do you do with this guy? What do you do with the men? It's not that kind of stuff. This is what equality is. It's you put two women in a spot and in a main event, and no one goes, oh, it's two women. It's more like, fuck yeah. And that is a big deal.
I could picture specific Twitter avatars when you did that voice.
A lot of them have fiend. A lot of them have fiend avatars.
No, you're absolutely right. Every time there's an instance where we're booking Asuka versus Sasha, that should main event whatever's going on, because all they did was hit home runs this year. As far as like you said, you can kind of see progress when there was it was like a 2 or 3 week window when Rhea Ripley got her championship, and they just kind of wormed it in there. They just called it the NXT Championship, and they didn't have to throw in, that condescending, well, it's the women's championship. And I don't know what happened. I don't know why they stopped doing that, but all of a sudden, the Vic Josephs just dropped it, and it was back to being, she's our women's champion. So I don't know if they were just, like Triple H always preaches, this is, an experiment every week. So we're just listening to what people say. So I don't know if they, I can't even imagine
it was confusing.
Feedback.
Like I get what they were doing. I just thought it was confusing because then what's Adam Cole's title? Back at that moment. I honestly get what they were trying to do. It was just like, I think it was just poorly implemented as opposed to a bad idea. I just thought it was poorly implemented.
And there had to be some element of, there was a rebuttal, right, from Impact Wrestling, giving that a shot. So, that was, when I saw that happening, I don't know how many people also had that thought. That was the first thought that popped in my head, is that we just saw this a couple weeks ago on Impact. So, yeah, that sort of pulled a little bit away from it. It's sort of that same thing where we got Women's Evolution, but then when we pulled away, we saw that there was less budget that went to that. They haven't done it again. And then that also looked like a rebuttal to so we weren't thinking about the fact that there weren't going to be any women at the Saudi Arabia event.
That's absolutely
then they could
right.
just turn around and say, well, we just did Women's Evolution. Yep. So it always feels like there's that element of like, oh, they're still noodling in there. There's still PR. It's not a good person decision.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely. The Evolution example is fantastic because, basically it turned into, well, the women get a payday nonetheless, kind of thing. And frankly, it was one of the best pay-per-views they put on the entire year. It really was.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that if you go back to that year too, we talk about it all the time when we watch any pay-per-view. Where was the match that you aren't just going to, you're not just going to say for homework, I'm going to rewatch it, that you're just in your free time. You have nothing else to do. I'm going to go back and rewatch this. You do that for the entire pay-per-view. You have no problem doing that.
Absolutely not.
It really is a beaut. And it's probably one of the more easy pieces of evidence to point at was that how much of a PR move it was, because I think we all loved it as wrestling fans. And where is it? We started talking about on our show, oh, good. I think this means we're going to there'll be NXT, and then there's going to be a completely women's show on the network. And we're going to get, they're going to have an opportunity to build their own storylines, build their own characters. It'll be their show to own.
It's so funny that every year they'll still do tables, ladders, and chairs. Nobody's fucking tuning in. It's a garbage pay-per-view. The numbers are terrible. Evolution just blows up media. Everybody's talking about WWE. They don't do it again. It's I don't know what numbers they're looking at.
You can't do it without Ronda.
What a fantastic point you just pulled up, Mike. Seriously. You know how WWE just laps up that mainstream media attention. They're like, give it to me. I want more. That's exactly, and the press that they got for doing Evolution. Sure. Okay. Ronda was there. Right. Okay. They're fine. But still, you'd think they'd capitalize on that. They keep bringing it back. And God knows, if there's a company who can use an occasional good spot of PR in the media, right? It's our boys at WWE. It's weird.
Well, I have, it kind of ties into building the list out.
Yes.
Like Kristen was doing, talking about Hall of Fame stuff. One thing I always like bringing up to wrestling minds is if you're talking about that kind of list building, greatest of, it's almost impossible to do a Mount Rushmore, because I feel like you always have to do subcategories of that, best on the mic, best ring worker, what have you. But I guess what I want to ask you is, when you're thinking of the greatest, what's your criteria, Warren? What do you look for in your performer?
Instinctively, it's the kind of thing that I shy away from, and I always feel cornered in these situations. And
what we should have done, we should have thrown the old hot tag.
There we go.
That's our hot tag question segment. Boom.
Because again, you sort of nailed it, right? You can appreciate wrestlers for very, very specific skills that they have. You know, you'll be absolutely head over heels. Let's say for Samoa Joe's promo work, right? But maybe his in-ring work wasn't your cup of tea. I don't see why, but you know, maybe there's part of the presentation. Yeah, exactly. It could be.
He still doesn't love Joe. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's, and then the argument that everything usually revolves back to is, did they draw? How much money did they make? Because ultimately, wrestling is a sport about promotion. You know, it's not a mistake that interviews and segments are called promos, because they're supposed to be built so that you'll buy a ticket to go see a match. That's how it used to happen in the territory days. Then pay-per-views. Then these days with WWE, you don't know what promos are for, because for $10.99 a month, you get everything, right? $10.99 in Canada, anyway. You know, if you're talking about the greatest, like objectively, I think it's hard to not turn to a guy like Stone Cold, in my view, who was a guy who I think lifted a company who was in dire straits, in a business that was having better years but wasn't fantastic. Because the early 90s, right up to 1996, it was a shit period for everyone. It was a shit period for WCW. It was terrible for WWF. And then all of a sudden, out of pure happenstance, you have this guy who appears out of nowhere, cuts one promo, delivers just a few lines, and people are in love with them. And then it's just like, vroom, it takes off. And I sincerely believe that we will never see another Stone Cold again in WWE, because I don't think WWE wants another Stone Cold. I don't think they want another larger than life superstar. I think they want to build a brand. They don't want to build main eventers. They don't want to build stars, which is weird, because that's why you watch wrestling. But I think no one is bigger than the brand now. And I think that's probably Stone Cold's biggest legacy. Because on top of that, and you know, some people look, what about The Rock? The Rock was great, but the Rock was not the worker that Steve Austin was. Right up until his neck injury, Stone Cold was one of the most exciting, fantastic brawlers that the business has ever had the chance to see perform. His promos, of course, are legendary. The storylines, you can add in the fact that Vince threw himself into the mix, and probably there was a lot of Vince wanting to be in the spotlight as well. And that's cool. It's his company. He can do what he wants. It turned out to, especially when it turned out to, the end result gave us some of the best wrestling angle storylines matches that the Attitude Era gave us through this McMahon-Austin feud. Why would you complain that Vince was in that position? Right. It's hard for me. It's hard to not think about him that way. But then we can get a little more granular. Then we can start talking about guys like Liger, who I think is, you know, at least in a mainstream sense, I don't think people quite grasp how important Jushin Thunder Liger is to wrestling, because everything that you see the indie guys doing out there, the folks on AEW or on Dark, it's because of that dude, you know? I think a guy like Hiroshi Tanahashi in New Japan is a legend, because he carried that company out of its worst situation, out of the late 2000s, and brought it to where it is. It was entirely on his back. He decided, it was like, look, this straight-laced presentation is cool, but let's add some theatrics to it. And they were like, all right, man, this is up to you. You were give it a shot. And he just drove that company, brought it back to prominence, and to international favor as well. I mean, there's so much stuff you can focus on afterwards. But, you know, if you want to big and impact, monetary impact, because Stone Cold sold merch. He pushed merch. I mean, that's it. Yep. It's just as simple as that. They made so much money selling T-shirts of the guy, and you know, shit at Walmart and whatnot. That it's good for them, good for him, good for everyone involved. That's ultimately what the wrestling business is for.
Yeah, I mean, just to jump on that point too, all you folks out there still giving AEW a hard time. That's how we're gonna get people to actually watch this business, because you're gonna see a cool picture of MJF and Jericho in front of the camera doing some song and dance routine. You're gonna want to try and figure out what that is. So stop complaining, you idiots. All right, that was from Warren. I'm kidding.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. You haven't been paying attention. You only said, "Oh, he's putting AEW over." Yeah, they do music numbers. They parody films that came out 17 years ago.
Honestly, that is my pro wrestling. Like, seeing MJF and Chris Jericho do a song and dance, that's where I'm at. Like, I know Jeff Hardy almost killed himself by fighting Elias yesterday. Like, I love to see that he's sitting there smacking the tamper. Like, this is a guy that's having fun mid-match. I need to see these guys having fun. That's all I need. I don't know. We just assume like Undertaker and Shawn Michaels are having a blast at WrestleMania 25 and 26 doing what they're doing. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know I'm really going off the rails here, but that, like, Dexter Lumis, that guy has to be having more fun in NXT right now with Cameron Grimes than any other two superstars in the last year. I mean, there's probably a little bit of hyperbole mixed in there, but I honestly, that is some of the best work I've seen, because I can't help. I mean, you giggle, you scream while you're watching these two going at it,
and you don't think Cameron Grimes is having a ball? He's having a ball.
Absolutely loving it.
I mean, the haunted house of horror, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
I mean, the shower scene.
Oh my God!
Starts undressing, and he's like, "I didn't know Dexter Lumis had a sister." And I'm like, Jesus Christ! And it's perfect. Like, it's perfect. He's just perfect for the role. Yep. I love it. I love it.
He is that guy. If you give him the MJF time, you give him the Miz time, and he needs some grooming. But Cameron Grimes is the guy that will do absolutely anything.
And I remember clearly, distinctly, when they did the that tournament, you know, the what did they call it? Like the new guys, they had ACH in there.
Yeah,
the Mae Young for the men. The
up and comer tournament. I don't know what it was called. You know, the one ACH ended up winning, and then and then the stuff happened.
Right.
I remember him cutting a promo there. And I was like, my God, this guy is boring as dirt. Yep. Like, it was terrible. It was bad. Yeah. But, I mean, then look at that. Take some time, rethink the character, rehabilitate him. You know, we like to shit on WWE because, you know, there's a lot of things that they don't do right. But when they do things correctly and they let the wrestlers play off their strengths.
Drew McIntyre. Absolutely.
Drew McIntyre is an excellent example. Kevin Owens as well. Kevin Owens never feels like they have a script for him. You know, it always feels. I'm sure his discussions with the writers says, "Give me the bullet points. What's the line that Vince wants me to say? Okay, cool," and then he'll go with it. You know, it always feels like that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we could still. I'm going to wrap Kevin Owens back into it because he was on NXT last week. But I was going to take that opportunity to wrap us into War Games. If Warren, you'd like to do some hot takes and do some picks with us for War Games coming up. All right. Sure. Let's start with that Dexter Lumis and Cameron Grimes, because I mean, at this point, we're now pushing this feud out to. I don't know if I want it to end. I feel like there's those different feuds that you can make work, like the Sheamus and Cesaro years ago, and then it turns into a tag team. Now, I don't want Dexter Lumis and Cameron Grimes to be a tag team, but I am loving their work together so much, and I can't quite move the chess pieces around to figure out when do I make Dexter Lumis my champion. I'm not sure that move is there yet.
I don't think so.
So if we can punt this, and we can go another month of seeing these two maybe branch out a little bit, but still come back together, I'm totally fine. I don't need this to end with the strap match.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
go ahead.
No, I think they're just doing, like you said, I don't ever need to see Dexter Lumis wear a championship gold. I think he's in that Fiend mold. He's kind of in that Undertaker mold. Not that he's at that height yet, but just that I think he's just going to be a story guy. And whatever he does with, that weird, creepy, Dexter murdery, Henley wearing character, that's going to be much more interesting than any, piece of gold Velcro to a piece of leather. I think that he's just going to be fine on his own. And I could pretty much copy and paste that same description for Cameron Grimes. I just need to see him be the sneakiest shitheel you've ever seen. And I think there's such good, when you play tennis, yeah, you're supposed to find someone kind of at your level. These guys are perfectly at each other's level to keep volleying back and forth. It just works so well. Like it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's been a lot of good here. Personally, I wasn't a fan of the blindfold match, but then again, I am never never been like, I even tweeted out, guys, tell me where has there been in the history of the world a good blindfold match? And I mean, the concept even baffles me. It's like, even if it was a shoot, even if it was a shoot, why would you want to see two guys with bags on their heads try to fight each other?
You do spend most of the time wondering, can they see through that? Like, that's where my head is at for maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're like, are those shoot sacks? Are they shoot sacks?
Oh man.
But I do feel that they work well together. I hope that they go towards, let's put this on pause for a while, because I think one of the problems that permeates WWE, maybe aside from SmackDown these days, is the lack of fresh matches. I think like on SmackDown, Jey Uso having a single run is wonderful, because then you have like, oh, look at these new pairings, look at these new matchups that we've never had before. This is cool. This is exciting. So I think, I want that in my NXT, especially since that's kind of what I'm used to in NXT as well. I'm a longtime viewer. I've always loved it. I like it when they mix it up.
Sure.
The long-term stories, the trilogies, like the Gargano Ciampas and stuff like that, the Nakamura's, Balor's, stuff, all that. Let's keep that for the high-level stuff. Yeah. Mix it up more in the underground, the undercard.
Yeah. Real quick too, I didn't want to omit him, but another guy kind of getting a little bit of some attention singles wise, Kyle O'Reilly. Oh, chef's kiss.
Oh, that's a great example.
When you talk about like Kevin Owens feeling so natural in the ring, every time I watch Kyle fight, I'm like, oh, now a real battle is about to ensue. Like, I know that his battle stance is just it almost looks like a toddler trying to kick you when you're trying to put their shoes on. Yeah. But it's like also the most dangerous one. Like, I'm not getting near that, man. That's like getting next to a scorpion. I'm staying as far away as possible.
The world's most dangerous toddler. Yeah, pretty much.
But his moves, like every time he puts in a submission hold, there's always that extra little twerk where you can see like, oh my God, that like it has that strong style feel to it. And it's Kyle's own stank on a wrestling match. And I can't get enough. I'm so excited that he gets to, be on his own and not have to take 5-minute breaks so we can watch poor Bobby Fish get beat up for a few minutes. More Kyle O'Reilly again. Oh, poor Bob.
But I mean, that's why he was loved so much in Ring of Honor. That's why he worked so well in Japan as well. He's got that shooter grit to him, which works really well.
Yeah.
So real quick, just for funsies, I'm gonna go Cameron Grimes because I think that's the best way to get this thing punted.
Yeah, we should pick someone. Yeah.
I think Grimesy needs something right now. He needs to put some polish on that hat, and then he has to win a match to get that purse.
I feel like Cameron is just going to keep losing, and it won't matter because he's still going to be giggling at the end. Give me Dexter Lumis all day. Give me the Henley.
You know what? If that isn't a part of the WWE shop, honestly,
I'm begging him. Why is it only T-shirts?
Yeah, I want to see those two crazy eyeballs. Yeah, on the back.
Give me a Sheamus cap. Let me get all decked out and all that.
Oh, Sheamus's gear is so good these days. My God, the suspenders. I love it.
You like the Gangs of New York look?
I love it. I love it. Peaky Blinders all the way, man. And when he lost his hat yesterday and he didn't have the mohawk, and all, I was like, That's it. Perfect. Don't touch it. Don't leave it alone. It was beautiful.
I had no idea how badly I needed Sheamus's hair to lay flat.
I know.
It just like
I don't need him to be a spicy Cheeto. Like, let him be a regular ass kicker. You know,
a fire face.
Like you never
fire face, bro. Yeah.
Before you had one, you never wanted a McRib, but once you had a taste of the McRib, you're like, this makes sense. This is life. You know, that's what Sheamus with the flat hair. He's a McRib for me.
All right, real quick,
it works. It's Mick.
I want to throw some credit to Matt Riddle too. The way he got MVP to crack. Was it 2 weeks ago?
I think
when he called MVP his bro, and he's like, I'm not your bro, and he's like, oh,
yeah, that was
perfect comedic timing.
And MVP had that.
He had to cover his nose. I don't know what happened. I'm a mark now for Matt Riddle, or just Riddle now. He's winning me over.
Let's I want to jump back into guys.
The card. Yeah, for sure.
I want to jump back into guys that we were talking about. Cameron Grimes' inability to do promos during that tournament. I still don't know what the hell's going on with Damian Priest. I think he's one of the, like, as characters go, it's such a scramble. It's honestly, if you go back, everybody's talking about WWF No Mercy, and you had those branches where you're filling out a story. I feel like they've gone every single way on that WWF No Mercy story branch. I don't know if you guys remember it. That's how I feel with Damian Priest. We have no idea what the hell's going on. But him, Johnny Gargano, Leon Ruff, I mean, this to me is so easy to pick. Like, you can punt this, you can have it last another month, but I don't think this is going to happen. But I want me some Leon Ruff. I want that guy to hold on to the title. And you have so many different. I mean, it's a triple threat, right? Like you're already trying to figure out, like, how are they going to mix up where the wrestlers are at what point so that Leon can get that pin, or what's going to happen there? Like, that's what it feels like.
Everybody's leaving strong. Yeah,
right. Leon can take a pin. Right? Nobody's going to bat an eye if he goes down. I think we're all going to say good for him for holding the NXT North American title as long as he did. But he's got to walk away with the title, right?
I think so. I like surprises in wrestling. I think everyone was shocked when he won it off of Gargano. I like how they continued the story of the Gargano curse. You know, that I thought was a nice touch as well. And Leon Ruff coming out of nowhere and winning, I thought that was fantastic. Leon Ruff is great. His work in Evolve was phenomenal. So, you know, and everyone was freaking out on his squash matches that he had, over the past few months, because he sold so well. Everybody's like, I am all for mixing it up in wrestling. This is not boring. And, wrestling fans, there's a contingent that really don't know what they want. They're like, give us something fresh, not Gargano and Priest again. Oh, let's give the title to Leon Rush. What the fuck's this shit? No, this is it. This is interesting. And if they're going to elevate someone new to in NXT, which I honestly think in NXT is in desperate need of right now, I think it does need some fresh blood. Yeah. Go with the guy that no one saw coming. Build him, make him your own. I mean, this is the start of Leon Ruff's. It's the first day of Leon Ruff's life. The rest of his life. That's how
this is the rest of your life. Love that. I met the Damian Priest. Whoever's writing for him. Not a resume I would want to share with other people. On the same night that they'll, the same night they'll, pump up like, the Liv documentary. They'll talk about Becky Lynch being a mom, and we're going to talk to her. You'll see a commercial for a 2-year-old women's Revolution pay-per-view. And then they'll trot out Damian Priest to be like, yo, I got all the ladies. I got all those objects. It's like, really?
Let's all go hang out in the spa. Come on.
Yeah, it's such an antithesis to everything that they're trying to preach. I don't need him there. And I got to say, when they booked this as a triple threat, I think they just don't want Gargano to keep getting bombed by a rookie, an NXT rookie. So yeah, I'm picking rough to walk away. Still holding that belt.
Yeah, and I just to jump on that Damian Priest. Well, how do I want to put that properly? To keep that conversation.
Jump right on it.
Yeah, to jump on Damian Priest real quick.
Hot.
I think there's room to fix it. I just think they should have taken more time to fix it before they gave him this North American title opportunity, because I just didn't feel like it was polished yet. And I don't know if they're gonna still do the same polishing for Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis, who I think are probably better candidates for that conversation and better candidates for those matches. Do the same thing for Priest, because this could ruin him, giving him like that too far of a push. And of course, I'm saying too far of a push in regards to an NXT North American Championship run, but it really did feel like it was bad timing. And gosh, I really hope that, we were talking about giving a pause to Lumis and Cameron Grimes just to their feud. I want to see Damian Priest get a long pause so he can come back and maybe just figure out like how to make the shooting an arrow and having that Titantron turn into a ball of flame. That is badass. That is sweet as hell. So whoever came up with that idea, figure out what the hell his character is.
You know how main event WWE, like, they just can't be subtle. Like Ricochet has to come out now, has to go boing, 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 boing. Like Aleister Black had to add a creaky door to his entrance. I can't wait for Vince to call up Damian Priest and have him walk out with like a little Nerf, bow and arrow, and then shoot it like a little plush arrow at the crowd.
Somebody's got to get the Steve Martin like arrow through the head. All right, so this is definitely not an arrow through the head. This is going to be beautiful. Team Shotzi and Team Candice. I probably shouldn't have picked this because this is probably going to be match of the night. And there are different reports I'm seeing still to be announced, and I'm also seeing Io Shirai to be a part of Team Shotzi. So we can pretend it's Io. We can pretend we don't know who it is. Maybe it's Charlotte Flair. It kind of felt like it was going to be Io after the last episode, but I don't know. How do you dissect this? It's going to be we're going to pick one of these teams to win, but ultimately the win is going to be us sitting down with our bowl of popcorn, couple of beers, and enjoying just
it's going to rule
20 minutes. Yeah, exactly.
It's absolutely going to rule. Personally, I'm surprised that Rhea is in it, because I thought Rhea had a perfect send off when she with her match against Io. Perfect send off, and frankly, I don't know why she's there. If anything, keep Rhea off, put Io in there, bring back Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes said, "Hey, you know what, Vince? Fuck your retribution angle. I don't want to do it." But that's what the reports say. Like, she sat down with Creative and said, "There is no way in hell I have wrestled for 25 years to suddenly come in and do this silly shit. No, absolutely not." And she's been on this. So bring her back there. Bring her back there. Make her a babyface. I'm a badass babyface, and have her. But look, that's just me. I think Io is going to be in the match as well, because Io has heat with everyone on the kayfabe heat with everyone on the heel side, with Candice, with Dakota Kai, with Raquel via Dakota, and Toni Storm. I mean, these women fought in Stardom against each other. They have a long history. So there's great stuff that you can tell there. But I mean, how do we dissect this? Shotzi's going to do insane shit. Ember is going to eclipse someone off the fucking cage because she's nuts, and she said, "Injuries? What injuries?" Rhea has to come back full circle to just being a badass who beats people up. No more of this smiling, "I'm so happy to be here" bullshit. "Oh, look at how big this arena is that I'm going to be competing me, this little girl from backwoods Australia, wherever, right. Adelaide." I've been told, by the way, from Australian friends that girl like Adelaide, that city in Australia that she's from, they're all Rhea Ripley's there. They're all women who look and act like that. Yeah, it's like I was told it's not even a gimmick. They're not that far off. She's not even that far off. They all have attitude like that. I'm like,
gotta get some plane tickets. Awesome. Got Australia. All right.
But this match is going to rule. This match is going to rule. Between all of y'all, I think the weak link is Toni Storm. I don't think Toni, since coming up to WWE, even in her NXT UK run, has delivered anything close to what she did on the independent circuit, and that made her a star. I really don't. I think they capitalize a lot on her looks, on her natural charisma, on her connection that she can create with the audience. But Toni's NXT UK run as champion was bland as fuck. And from what I saw in her match, not this week, the week before her match, was it against Ember Moon? No, it wasn't against.
She just turned on.
No, but the last time she fought, it wasn't against Ember Moon. I can't remember it. 2 weeks ago, I thought it was very, very average. Was it Dakota? I think it was Dakota Kai. I think it was Dakota Kai that she fought. But I thought I was like, oh, this is uninspired. I really think Toni Storm is the weak link in this match. I think everyone else is fantastic and has a role, and I think Io should be the mystery woman, or at least the last person to be announced for the team.
I'll throw this out there. I mean, to your point and the blandness of her promo deliveries, I think that.
Oh, not just her promo deliveries. I think her in-ring work hasn't been there either. I was stoked to see her NXT UK, and then her run happened, and I was like, what is that? Her best match in NXT UK was a qualifying match on one of the first episodes she did. Again, they aired against Dakota Kai. Was a qualifying match for the tournament they were having to face Rhea Ripley for the title.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was against Dakota Kai, and it was a banger. Everything she did after that was average to not very good.
Well, I was going to throw out there. I mean, there's definitely opportunities for some changes here with her going heel. And I think, like for me, you were stoked to see, you get like that pop, you get like the surprise pop, you get excited, and then you kind of see what Toni's rolling out there. And I agree with you with the blandness there. So I think there's at least some opportunity here for her to turn it around, or for whoever's writing what she's going to be out there and saying, to throw a little more fire when she's got that mic. I want to see this heel turn into something where
I agree.
Like the fans on Twitter, absolute pigs. Throw them under the bus. Treat them like garbage. Oh my God, that would be
because they have been pigs to her. They've been absolutely rotten to her. And this is the wild thing, right, guys? We're sitting here and we're talking about Toni Storm, who is far from being a bad wrestler, right?
Right.
Like far from. I watched WCW in the 90s, right? I've seen Van Hammer wrestle, right? I've seen Horace Hogan wrestle. I've seen Nia Jax wrestle. She is. Toni Storm is a far cry from being a bad wrestler, and here we are saying she's the weak link. This is how fucking spoiled we are, boys.
Well, yeah, in NXT, that women's division is just unbelievable.
That's the thing.
Like any one of those women would run AEW.
Oh, I mean, God,
by a landslide. It's not even close.
I mean, there's almost any promotion out there. These ladies would run that, whatever their respective division is. They would absolutely destroy.
It's just one thing that NXT, or at least WWE, the company's done really well, is like kind of give all these women an opportunity to like be a character, be a person. We're going to give you, time to wrestle. We're not just going to give you, what AEW does. It's like the 9:21 spot, and you get to wrestle through an Arby's commercial, and then we do the main event at about 9:30 to 10.
We're gonna jam as many women's things within 1/4 hour. Just that 1 quarter, and then for the rest of the show, there's nothing.
Yeah. I just, Matt and I, we've loved Dakota Kai since they did a little NXT, tour through Detroit, and she just had a nothing mid-card dark match, and it was like one of the greatest like physical sights you've ever seen.
Was she still a babyface?
She was still a babyface. She was the Team Kick captain back then.
Fantastic. And she was such a natural babyface too. She was so good at it. I I still love her. Don't get me wrong, but the babyface Dakota Kai was just perfect. The perfect substitute for Bayley, who had gone, right. I mean,
oh yeah, and we talk about it all the time how much harder it is to be like a rosy cheeked babyface, and she pulled it off, and people didn't get sarcastic about it. Like they genuinely would root their hearts out for her. So
yeah, because she'd fucking kick your face in if you didn't.
Yeah, absolutely,
legitimately. So we seem to all be in agreement that the women's match is just going to rule. There's too many good elements.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about that dog shit men's war games. All right. So somebody brought up.
Can you imagine a guy? His name is Roderick Strong. It's like R. Wait, what other? Steven
Fish?
Another guy's named Fish. What the fuck, man? What's happening to? My God, I miss the '90s. Attitude Era forever.
Guest for air much? All right. So I thought it was pretty interesting. Somebody a few weeks ago brought up. They were like rolling their eyes at Undisputed Era being in every War Games. And I was like, no. That's like the Four Horsemen, my man. The Four Horsemen was in like every single War Games for like the first 10.
Show.
Yep. It's their event. I'm okay with. I like the idea of wrestlers having their event, that this is their thing. Like I like how they leaned into Randy Orton at Survivor Series even though he wasn't in the Survivor Series match. Saying, Survivor Series is Randy Orton's event. It's where he wins the most. I like that kind of stuff. If
the Hardys, the TLC, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, absolutely, yeah.
And if NXT War Games becomes Undisputed Era's thing, perfect. I don't have a problem with that. I love it. I actually love it. If next year they're still around, right? And then William Regal comes out to War Games, and he picks 8 dudes who aren't Undisputed Era. Adam Cole has to come out and say, "Whoa, hang on a second! No, you are putting this is our match. You're putting us in it." Kind of thing. That has to happen.
Absolutely. I even see the idea of them like getting called up and Adam Cole like bringing out the secret weapon. Like nobody beats us, in War Games. Maybe they do some main event match against 4 goofs and WWE. I love it. Absolutely.
That'd be a good way to. We got to call WWE creative. That's a good pass the torch sort of thing. Like when they finally go down like handily. I think that's when you've got to create like another faction. I don't think the Kings of NXT is that faction. I don't know how long Pat McAfee is for the NXT world. He hasn't made his $1 million yet. I don't think so. Once he hits that, then he's gone. But you know what? This is a good. We'll throw this out there. I mean, a quickie. We're both huge fans of Pat McAfee, the two of us. How do you feel about Pat McAfee?
I never thought I would say that, but my God, he got me.
I hate him.
Son of a bitch, he got me.
I hate his guts. Like I really do hate the character, but that's what you want. Like you want to hate the character. So
Can you imagine their top heel? is a guy who isn't even a trained wrestler.
Can you imagine watching the Indianapolis Colts 10 years ago and seeing their fucking punter kicking to the moon and saying that guy is going to run the wrestling world? You heard it here first.
He's going to main event a takeover. You're like, what the fuck? Nah. But how good is he? Sincerely, truly. And this is what I've always loved, even with his feud with Adam Cole. It's a guy, I have, as many wrestling fans, tie-ins with sports people and movie stars into wrestling, it usually doesn't mesh. There's a lot of, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We know you guys, it's wrestling. We're in on the joke.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee takes it seriously. That's his thing. He understands the business, and he doesn't go around saying, I love wrestling. I can tell he loves wrestling because of how he heals it up. Can you believe right now the best heel that WWE has outside of Roman Reigns in their entire company, and yes, I'm throwing Randy Orton in there, outside of Roman Reigns is Pat McAfee. He drains fantastic heat. even though there's no audience, you do want to just strangle the guy.
Yeah.
And his promos are impeccable, and he works. He might not be extremely polished, and he's not going to, I don't think he's going to be pulling off destroyers off the top rope through a table kind of thing. But
you wait.
I could be surprised. It's a War Games.
He's listening to this right now, and he's like, "Those fuckers got."
But he's fantastic. He really, really is, and he's added so much to this story. And he managed. Let's not forget to use the what's his name? The guy who got injured, the rugby player. How can we have forgotten his name?
Rugby.
I don't think I know who you're talking about.
The guy who attacked Adam Cole at the last takeover and then got injured.
Oh shit. The guy who almost killed Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, yes.
God. What the fuck is his name?
What's that guy's name?
Should we Google it? Who almost killed Johnny Gargano? Holy shit.
Oh, this is embarrassing.
Oh shit. We have to
That's
Google
why you
something.
pre-record.
There's 3 of us. Yeah.
There's 3 of us. And that's so sad for him though. I want to say Reese, but it's not Reese.
Is it Luke Menzies?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Ridge Holland. There we go.
Oh, Ridge Holland.
Because Ridge Holland was supposed to be the hitman for McAfee, right? But then he got injured. He got legitimately injured and was sidelined, and that's why they brought Pete Dunne in because they had to fill in with someone. And why not Pete Dunne, who will not purposefully end another man's wrestling career,
right?
He had to manage that. McAfee. On top of that, I remember that promo where he came in the ring and he tied everything together. It was brilliant. He understands the nature of wrestling storytelling, and that's what I love the most about him. He's a mainstream. I know he's not the most mainstream guy, but he's a mainstream outside guy bringing in, but who loves the business, who cares about it, and who puts the effort in what he's doing, and it's paying off dividends. He should be on every week. I think he's great.
Yeah, I'd wrap it back up to like our first conversation of the show and talking about Jeff Hardy, even though he almost killed himself, like having fun playing the tambourine. Like that's what I want. If I could see a guy that is visibly having fun in his pro wrestling and what he's doing, that's what I want. And
sure.
So it's something of it's like fresh air, you know.
Yeah, it's refreshing when these transcendent guys work out. Like it wasn't that long ago we just saw Gronk, and WWE thought that was really gonna be big money, and that guy just looked like such a gigantic dipshit. I can't. There's he's in a long line of WWE mishaps, and Pat.
For a fraction of the price.
I don't want to be too. Yeah, right. I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but it's almost like that kind of pressure that like LeBron James walks into in the NBA as an 18-year-old high school kid. Like Pat McAfee knew that people were just going to laugh and mock any tiny little botch that he might have done in his match with Adam Cole or any mishap on a microphone and be like, see, he shouldn't have been here. But all he did was like dominate in both spots. So with all that pressure, just, man, I don't mind kissing that guy's ass. It was great stuff.
We've been talking about this one match for like 10 minutes, and we haven't even mentioned Lorcan and Birch, who are like probably the most underrated NXT tag champions. I'm making right now. I promise all the Brothers of Discussion faithful, I'm going to finish this goddamn article this week, but I'm coming out with the top 10 NXT tag teams to actually hold the belts at any point. They are in that top 10 list, and I dare say they are the most underrated of anybody on that list, even though they've got a pretty short tenure.
For a while, they were maybe the best team to never hold them.
Oh, absolutely. There's a pretty crazy list out there. Of some pretty short tenures and teams that probably should have held it. But this is a team that it holds a tremendous spot on our show because Warren, we can introduce you to the Oni and Lorcan and Danny and Birch unfortunate event where I just kept rattling off names thinking for the first time that we watched them wrestle that there's 4 guys because it sounds like 4 first names.
My God, all 4 of them are here? That's right. No. Oni and Danny and Lorcan and Birch. Oh, son of a bitch. You got no chance in this match. It's a 4-on-2 tag team title match.
Forever. They will hold that title on this show. But
I completely agree with you, and I will even remember, I will always remember the crowd at, I think it was Chicago 2, TakeOver Chicago 2, when they were facing the Undisputed Era. You know, the Undisputed Era, heels, but they've never really been heels, always got the big pops from the crowd.
Yeah.
Lorcan and Birch come into silence. Undisputed Era come out, and they're the tag champs. Huge pop, right? Enormous. Everyone loves, I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Strong, and I'm pretty sure Fish was injured. I'm pretty sure it was Kyle O'Reilly and Strong at that point. And Lorcan and Birch, just on the work they put in that match, they delivered not only a fantastic match, but they won the crowd over. No one was cheering for the Undisputed Era by the end of that match. They all wanted Oni and Danny to win it. And that, friends, is the mark of a glorious tag team. When you get zero reaction, and by the end of the match, people are standing up because they want you to win. Jesus Christ. I will always remember that match.
Yeah, I mean, these are guys too. Like, while I'm putting this article together, it's fun to like go back and watch all the greatness. I mean, almost winning like the Dusty Rhodes Classic. I mean, the amount of tag teams that have done multiple Dusty Rhodes Classics isn't that long of a list. But these guys, I mean, have been working like not just the business, but I mean, they're doing everything for WWE, including all the time over at NXT UK. It's just
205 Live.
If you're not anybody, like go to Oni's Twitter account.
Tweeting
Twitter's.
No one does Twitter better than Oni.
Right.
From his park bench with the pigeons. It's fantastic.
It's masterpiece work. But we're spending way too long talking about the single match because I do still think the match of the night is probably going to end up being Team Shotzi and Team Candice. That's just to say this is going to be that good of a show from me speaking how many days out. Picking the winner, I think we got to go Kings of NXT. I think we're going to see Lorcan and Birch and Pete Dunne take it over, and Pat McAfee has got to get a win, and I think this is the best way for him to get a win when he's got 3 of the best guys standing behind him. Even though we crowned the War Games match as an Undisputed Era.
Pat McAfee wins it on a shooting star press off the top of the cage on Adam Cole. Everybody loses their fucking minds and buys Pat McAfee t-shirts that night. It's going to be heroic.
He gets back up. He gets back up, does one of these. Buy my merch. Looks right into the camera.
It sounds like there isn't a lot of agreement when I threw that out there.
I kind of feel like Undisputed Era needs this. It's weird to say that Undisputed Era needs it, but I think if they want, like, they're trying it out as a babyface team. As you know, they're trying the UE as baby faces now. I think they need a little babyface legitimacy. I think they need to beat the assholes.
Well, we say it all the time. We call it our signature wins, something that like we go back to talking about Damian Priest and Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis. Those guys are still looking for that signature win. Mm-hmm. This would be for the babyface version of Undisputed Era, that signature win. So we keep track of those. So I'm gonna go ahead and notch that up. We'll put an asterisk that it was from the Mr. Warren Hayes show. But Mike, what do you got?
Oh, yeah, I'm still going with my shooting star press.
Right. I'm sorry.
I think it's going to be something.
Can you
amazing.
Repeat what you picked?
A Phoenix splash. Go on, a Phoenix splash.
It'll look better than Lesnar's, at the very least. It won't look like a mortal injury is about to be on live TV. I think Pat. I think they really. Yeah, I think they realize they have something here. By God, this McAfee guy gives a damn about our sport, and I think they might just let him pin somebody on a major, pay-per-view like this. I think it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, I really do feel like he's gonna pin Adam Cole. Like
because we always
big
talk
dagger in his side.
Like WWE always likes to get Twitter talking, and they're like, "What? Pat McAfee pinned who?" I think this would be a pretty good moment to do that.
Hey, they got to get Pat McAfee moving before Shaq hits the ring. And
please cancel that. Please cancel
all right, so we're gonna wrap up here. But I did bring up. I don't know if you have. We could treat it as a hot take, but I wanted you to, if there was anything that you think when we're coming up with our match of the year candidates, because we've got some of our brothers of discussion faithful and our sisters of discussion are going to give us some recommendations. So anything that you feel we absolutely have to consider as match of the year, or if there's any dark horses you think we may have missed.
Again, this is a situation where I have a couple. I think not a lot of people are going to be remembering MJF versus Jungle Boy from, was it Double or Nothing or Revolution? I think it was Revolution. They had a singles match. It was, it's still one of my favorite matches this year. Perfect. Built completely old school. Love it. I think that for WWE, I think the Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy triple threat for the IC titles. I think that's the best match they've put on this year, with Sasha and Bayley and Hell in a Cell being super close. Now, very, very. I'd have a hard time pulling out. Otherwise, Toru Yano versus Hiromu Takahashi from New Japan at the New Japan Cup this year. If you guys don't watch New Japan, you're probably like, oh, look at him. It's probably a work rate phenomenon. But no, it is the greatest.
Talk about work rate. Yeah.
It's the greatest comedy match I have ever seen in my entire life. And it is legitimately one of my matches of the year.
Huh.
I love it. And I want to get... How do you feel about the Royal Rumble this year being in consideration for that? Because I honestly think it was one of the best Royal Rumbles. We watched it live, so that there's...
It was fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but Battle Royals as matches of the year, no, it doesn't jive. It doesn't jive for me. There's because you build stories, sure, fine, but I think stories are important. And here I am saying, hey, my favorite match of the year is a comedy match. The guys ended up in an elevator. He taped one guy in an elevator and sent him down to the ground floor, and he got a count out win. That's exactly how the match ended.
Yeah.
But I think Battle Royals, I don't know. But as much as I think the men's Royal Rumble this year was indeed absolutely phenomenal, and some great storytelling, and on the women's side as well, I think both Royal Rumbles were a treat this year. I don't know if you put that as a match of the year. Too many people involved, short spans. Like, okay, Lesnar was there for a really long time, but Lesnar's just tossing guys out until he gets really sweaty, and that's it. So it lacks like the intimacy of just a few handful of people putting together an athletic spectacle. Now it's more like it's showmanship. I love the Royal Rumble. It is my WWE event every year. It's the one that I don't want to miss. It's the one I prefer. Right. But it's show, it's spectacle, it's more theater than anything else. It's moments, but yeah.
No, I got you. It's definitely one of those where I'm gonna play with the idea. I already have. It's one of those things. I feel like I should put it in an envelope and send it, Mike. I'm gonna mail it over to you. Hopefully, it'll get to you before we record for Match of the Year. But I have the Match of the Year picked out. I feel like we got to save it, right? It hasn't been mentioned yet, so I'm happy there. The thunder hasn't been spoiled there. Or stolen, spoiled. Jesus. But I do still like that idea of playing around with that. Like, it was so special to me, and it could be like the last live major event we ever get. So that there's also that element where it's like, well, out of all the...
And on this note, good night, everyone.
You want to leave 2020 feeling good about yourself? Remember when we could go to events? All right. I mean, with that, gonna call you Mr. Warren Hayes. It was an absolute pleasure. I really hope we can have you on again, because I will tell you this: we have had other guests. I have not laughed or had as much fun as I had today.
We get a lot of statisticians, so Thank you, Warren.
Yeah, we get a lot of morticians and accountants on the show.
A lot of lecturers. So. Yeah.
This was a blast, guys. I enjoyed it. I mean, you guys are fantastic, and a guest is only as good as their host. So thank you. If you guys enjoyed having me on, it's all on you. You guys made it a lot of fun. I had a great time. Thank you very much for having me.
Fantastic, and you're gonna have to warn Kristen, because we're probably gonna be hitting those DMs to. We gotta get that women's wrestling conversation going. So that just all she did was ruin her own DMs. So that's on her.
Oh well,
all right, but again, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. Let's wrap up, and as Stone Cold says, we're gonna sail off into the sunset.
All right, see you, Warren.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.